Coach, hey, thanks for joining me today on this Simple Coach to Coach interview that has been so elusive to getting on the calendar. I think we've had it on the boards for like 3 or 4 times and then we're finally connecting. I'm really excited and appreciative because I know you've been, for a whole host of reasons that we'll talk, you've just been swamped. So appreciate you taking the time today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Okay, so for those who aren't aware, you have it's just shy of a year, been named the head coach at Warren Wilson College. You were named in June, I think. Did I get that? June?
Yes. Yeah, it was
2022. June. So you've had plenty of time to do everything you need to get done. Can you just talk about sort of your soccer experience and how you ended up getting out to North Carolina?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm from Boone, North Carolina, so, right down the road from here. But I mean, grew up playing since I was 4, went to college at King University, that's in Bristol, Tennessee. My coach there was a really big impact on me because at the time I didn't know what the heck I wanted to do when I graduated. I didn't even think I wanted to be involved in soccer anymore, but it was kind of my life, and I was like, I don't know if I could survive without it. And so he kind of pushed me to go ahead and get my coaching license, my F, back when that was actually still a thing, and kind of got into the club level there, and it just kind of grew from there. I was like, oh, I kind of do enjoy doing this, and yeah, I don't think I could leave soccer at all. So did that, played in the WPSL for a summer, thought I could kind of keep going, but my body was just, it couldn't keep going anymore. Too many concussions, that kind of thing. And so then I got into the high school level, and I had just done that for 1 semester, and then the head coach at Emory and Henry College reached out to me and asked if I would like to come in and be the assistant. I was like, well, heck yeah, college level, let's go. I would love to try and give this, a go and see what happens. So all kind of started there, and then after Emory and Henry, I moved to Montana to get my master's and coached there as well as a graduate assistant. And then I was just on Twitter and randomly said, what male coach would hire a female at the college level? Are there even any of us out there? There might be 1 or 2, but who knows? And the Warren Wilson head coach at the time, Mathis Minnell, reached out and he was like, I'll take you. And I was like, no way. Okay, this is crazy. I didn't think I'd actually get into the men's side of the college game. And so I flew back home that Christmas to see my parents and met up with him, and it just kind of went from there. And I got here and I really loved it, and then maybe in April or May he was like, yeah, I'm done coaching, apply, this is all you, here you go, I think you're ready, you can do this. So he stepped away, and then that's when I got to apply and got called head coach June 1st of 2022. Wow.
Yeah. And this is your first head coaching job, correct?
At the college level, yes.
Yeah, at the college level. College level.
Yeah.
So I have to ask you, what position did you play?
I was a midfielder, central midfielder. Mm-hmm.
Okay. With concussions, okay. So as a goalkeeper, it's common for me. It explains a lot. The channel, long story. So, was it Warren Wilson because of the circumstance? Was it, this is a loaded question, right? No one's going to tell me that's accurate. Are you, is there something, having never been there, is there something special about the school that you're like, hey, this is where I would want to start my career?
Yeah, so, first of all, growing up, I played in Asheville a lot, and I just really loved the area, and I was like, if I ever get the opportunity to come here and work here and live here, I'm going to take it. And so when, Warren Wilson popped up and I looked more into the school, I think I'd been on campus maybe once when I was in middle school, so I didn't really know much about it. But learning more about the school and how LGBTQ friendly it is, and just how opening and loving of a community it is, and how unique the campus is with all of our agriculture, farm, or our work program school. So it's only about 1 out of 5, 5 of us in the country. And I just thought it was so unique, and I was like, this seems like such a great place to start, my head coaching career. And so super, super excited that I get to be here for it.
Yeah. Okay, so I have to ask the question that I really don't, like I mentioned to you before we started rolling. It's not something I'm really particularly interested in, just because I'm more interested in your soccer. Mm-hmm. Right. But you are now, as far as I am aware, the third female head coach of a men's program. So, I guess the first thing I would ask is, how does it feel? Does it feel unique?
Yeah. I mean, especially along with the other two that are doing it, like Julian Sitch and, Kim Wyatt, two incredible people that I've talked to personally, and getting kind of to just do it with them is definitely unique for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Julianne just won the national championship. Kim's been doing this and at a high level for the longest time. So I'm just wondering, does it almost feel like you have a responsibility to super high standards? Does that make sense?
Kind of. I mean, everything I want to do is at a high standard, so.
Yeah, very good. Okay. I got that out of the way. Good. That's an uncomfortable question for me. I don't know why, but it just, like I said, I'm just more concerned. To me, I said after a really not a really good interview, just from a technical standpoint, when I interviewed Coach Sitch, I told people, I was like, she's the coach to lead them to a national championship, and lo and behold, and because her mind is soccer wise just incredible. So, okay, so knowing that you were in Montana, involved in the game from North Carolina, you've sort of been around. Are there, and Tennessee, do you think there's regional differences between players?
Yes and no. I would say kind of like where I was, so Bristol, Tennessee, and then kind of in Southwest Virginia, Abingdon. It's just like a smaller community in the fact that soccer still isn't as huge. And most parents are still stuck in the, football or baseball, what's soccer? And I would kind of say the same about Montana is, it's also it's very big in basketball. And soccer is still growing there. But, oh my gosh, there was so much talent in each place that I went, but it's still how can we grow the game more, because it's still not as well known. Parents didn't play, they don't know kind of about the game. And, and Montana's just so spread out. We were the only Division II college in the state. And so that's also a big thing, is having to fly to every single conference game, getting to Washington, Canada, Oregon, that kind of thing. But, there's always, talent wherever, and there are the clubs that I worked with are really trying to push and grow the game and really get more kids involved, which is incredible. And but there's definitely plenty of space and time for us to continue to grow the game in these areas that aren't as well known. Because, now I'm living in Asheville, and it's this massive soccer city. We have, a W League team. We have a USL, men's team, and it's just big. The community's huge. There's multiple clubs. Everybody's playing adult leagues, whatever you can think of. So that was kind of a nice big change, though, coming from Montana, where it wasn't as big, or Abingdon or Bristol or something like that.
You brought up the W League in Asheville. I have someone I used to coach plays on the W League team.
Okay.
Laura Greb. I don't know if that rings.
Okay, yeah, I know Greb. She actually worked, she was the women's soccer assistant here at Warren Wilson. So I know Greb pretty well. We play against each other in our adult league. And I'll be coaching with the Asheville City team as well, so I'll get to work alongside her. It's a very small one.
This is totally tangential. It has nothing to do with anything, but it is amazing how soccer. It is at least once a week. Name drop somebody. Oh, I know somebody who's connected. Oh, I know them. And yeah,
Yep.
fantastic, fantastic ball player. I love the way she played. No finer person either, right? Like,
Yeah.
and mom is really great friend, and that's pretty funny.
That is crazy.
Holy smokes! And here I thought I had no idea about Warren Wilson, right? Like it's
Yeah,
not,
now you do.
and now I do. Now I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm going to come to a game. I'm going to have to find a way to get to a game.
Absolutely.
Hey, is this? I got confused, which I easily do. Just ask my kids and my wife. Warren Wilson was unaffiliated from a conference perspective.
Yes, because we're in transition to be Division III, so we weren't just the NCCAA, like the small Christian college,
Right.
And so now we're in year 2 of our transition to Division III. We are in a conference now. We decided like last summer, we joined Coast to Coast Conference. Yeah, so now we have that affiliation, so that's been great.
I mean, I get that this is a college. This is a decision by the school, right? Like so. But what are your thoughts on the coast to coast? I mean, to me, it's like an interesting model, right? Where you don't have a conference schedule, but you do meet up at some point and you play each other.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's kind of like a hit or miss because it's like, okay, we can't really have like conference rivals and like kind of build that kind of thing. But it is really cool that we get to travel. If you make it into the conference tournament, you go to that school who's hosting it. So, and this fall of 23, it's being hosted in California. So we get in that top 6, we're going to California, which I'm totally okay with. I think that'll be and so like it's kind of cool, like everybody being spread out, but it's like, well, I never see you. I never know anything about your team until I maybe see film before the conference tournament. So,
one of my goals is to talk to the coach at Santa Cruz, just because no other reason other than anyone who affiliates themselves with banana slugs has really got
that's an interesting mascot.
High on my list. Okay, so. You get to Warren Wilson. What are you? And not knowing the program and sort of where it's been or where you're trying to take it, but is there anything that you're doing that you would say new that you're trying to do to the program to make it uniquely yours? And I get that you've only been, less than a year, so this is going to be a multi-year process for you, but is there anything that you could talk about that's like very specific to this is my stamp on the program?
Yeah, I am such like a coach that wants to build relationships and make sure that, I know what's going on and that my players can come and talk to me and have that open door kind of policy. And I know sometimes a lot of coaches like don't really do that, but then a lot do. So I just say that that's kind of like unique for me in the fact that I try and take, time out of my day and make sure that they're doing okay and like checking on them. Because it's an incredible, great group of guys that I, walked into, and I'm super thankful for the group that I have. And, now I'm finally kind of getting my first recruiting class, and that's super exciting as well. But, it's all about, I want to kind of get it back to where Hank Steinbrecher had it. So he coached here in the 70s.
Wow.
And so he's big name. Our full dedication to him.
Former U.S. soccer president, Hall of Famer. Wow. Big shoes. I hate to tell you now that Bar's been like through the roof.
Yep. I know. So, he came in the fall because for homecoming we dedicated the field to him, and our scoreboard is named after him, all that kind of thing. And he gave. I was like, please give our pregame talk, before, and he just came in and gave one of the best speeches, and a few of the guys that had played for him that were just put into the Hall of Fame were there as well, and it was just like a really special moment. But I mean, when he was here, they were incredible. I mean, of course, back then it was the 70s. There weren't like, as much going on maybe, but he said that like 2,000 people like from the community would show up to games, and it was just this huge ordeal playing, for Warren Wilson. And so I like to look at that as kind of like my benchmark. It's super, super high, of course, because he's an incredible human being and person. But it's just, kind of the years after, like recently, I mean, the team hasn't been super successful. Right. And so I just want to like continue to push them because they're so talented, and they might just not see it because it's like, oh, well, we're used to losing, or, this kind of thing. I mean, 2021, they didn't win a game. They scored only 5 goals the whole year. This past season, I mean, we won 3 games. We beat a Division II team. We tied some really good teams that we could have gotten, a result from, and they, doubled, if not tripled, the goal amounts. And so it's just like, I go back to like my relationship building, saying just like, I think a lot of it was, I just made sure that they felt valued and loved, because I think they've kind of been maybe neglected for a little while, and it's just showing them that they are good enough to compete against the teams that we're playing against, especially now that we're going Division III and we're playing teams that, have been Division III for a long time and are super established. So, I mean, that's just kind of the excitement of this job, too, is completely rebuilding it. And just like, even though there are growing pains and like it really sucks sometimes when you lose a game when you really thought you could, or we show out and we get our butts kicked, there's still positives in each game. And it's like, okay, well, look what you've already done. And like, okay, so 2023 is going to be even better because we're moving forward. So that's just the kind of a super exciting thing about this program as well.
I'm just looking at your schedule. So, it's interesting that you said that. I had no idea about that history, Hank Steinbrecher and sort of the 2,000 people, and like it becomes this event. I will say, and I didn't know you were NCCAA, National Christian College, whatever that acronym is. There are some model programs that I look at that sort of came out of the NCCAA. The one that everybody knows is Messiah, and theirs is a rocking, like their home games are just, at least on film, they just look like it's special, right? Yeah. And they have the program to back it up. Bob Jones, yeah. Bob Jones is another one. Like, I didn't know. I was down there for a tournament. I stopped by, and they have the stadium, and they have a really nice field, lights, and they regularly pack that place with locals in the school, and it's another huge thing. And as weird as it sounds, I'm like, if they can do it, I think almost like anybody can do it. It just requires the hard work and the effort. So I would tell your guys that it is definitely something that is achievable, because you look across the board, you see that sort of, that happens. It's not as far as what people think. It actually leads me to, like, how was your reception as being appointed the head coach of the men's team?
From who? Anybody in general?
No, the players. Yeah, the players. Like.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was nice that I had been there in the spring and already kind of like knew who was like already there. So it was great to kind of have that relationship built already. I mean, a few of them were on my interview calls, and I think it went really well. And I mean, just because they know, like, I've told them like what my goals are and where I want them to go, and they're all in because they want that. They can see that, I'm going to push them to achieve this, and I'm going to work my freaking butt off to recruit people that want to come in and help them do that. So like they see me working hard, hopefully they do the exact same thing, which they are. I mean, it's a great group. And I mean, the freshmen that were coming in last season, when they heard about the coaching change, I maybe lost like 1 or 2, but the rest were like, yeah, like, I'm still coming. Is this still my number I get? And I'm like, of course you can still have the same number. But I mean,
the important things, in other words.
Exactly, yeah. Exactly. But I mean, I think it went really well. I mean, there was never an instance when I was thinking like, wow, they hate me, or like anything like that. And I was able to like make really good relationships with the new freshmen coming in as well. And so they've been an exciting group. I didn't recruit them, Mathis did, but he did a really great job with this group. And they've really come in and helped step up and help change kind of the season this past season. So that's what I'm kind of hoping for this next class is bringing them in.
So I'll just say on Twitter, I see all the time. You're like, I'm here. I'm still looking for 23s. I will submit my application,
Yes.
and for that 5th year, because I could still play. I did 10 games this weekend refereeing, so
Nice.
I can't feel my legs, but my touch
Hey,
has
you
been
got it
improving. Not sure about the grades, though, to be quite honest. Um, How do you like to play? Like, snap your fingers. You have all the players you need, want the ones that you just kind of wish you had. How would you want Warren Wilson to be recognized for their play?
Yeah. I mean, I drill this into my players' heads now. Like, playing out of the back in a possession team is absolutely what I want. Like, I want us to be confident enough to play out of the back and keep it. Like, yeah, teams are probably going to press us quite a bit just because they look at our last records and all that stuff. And they're like, yeah, we can. Like, a lot of teams did that. They came in and thought that they could just take us over, and we ended up showing them that that's not us anymore. And so just like really being confident playing out of the back and just keeping it. Like, the one thing I hate the most is kickball soccer. Like, it drives me insane. Even in my adult league right now, when somebody kicks it, I'm like, keep it on the floor. Why are we doing this? Oh, it drives me insane.
Heresy.
We're not playing like that, yeah.
Man, I'm telling you, you're making a hard choice. Like, I've got 150 schools that are after me, and now that you're Warren Wilson's on the radar, it's going to be hard making that decision to where I'm going to go. That's actually, that warms my heart. I'll just say that, just warms my heart. Nothing worse than a pointless ball up top.
Ugh.
Regardless of the result, whether you score them, like, it's just like.
I want pretty soccer and to be good at it.
Yeah. It's like art, Like, do you want to look at like some of the great art of the past, or or do you just want to look at somebody putting like a Pepsi can on a mat and saying that's art? Like, I'd rather look at something like a little bit more creative. But
Oh yeah.
where are you recruiting from? Like, so, again, I'm sure you're trying to sort this out, but again, snapping your fingers, where do you want to be able to recruit from and be really effective at it?
I mean, I would love to bring in internationals, of course. I mean, who doesn't? I just would love to like kind of have a different culture on the team. But it is pretty difficult since we are a small private school, so it's pretty expensive and it doesn't really work out with internationals. So like anywhere from the country, like getting some Montana kids, I would love, any West Coast kids, just because I got used to all those clubs there, and let them come over and experience what North Carolina is. And but it is nice because Warren Wilson does have like an NC free grant, so lucky for me, like North Carolina has some really good soccer players, so I can continue to recruit within North Carolina, and a lot of them become eligible for the NC free, which is tuition free. So they're just paying for room and board, which really helps me. So a majority of the players I'm recruiting are in North Carolina. I want to spread that out a lot more. It can be a little difficult, but ideally getting kids from other states would be really great too.
How far from Asheville are you? Because that's
So
a
we're
huge
like
draw,
10
right?
minutes outside of Asheville.
How
Yeah.
long? How far?
10 minutes from
10.
Asheville.
Oh, wow. You are close.
Very.
Asheville's got to be a draw, right? Like, that alone.
Oh, yeah.
If somebody ever goes to Asheville, like,
I know,
it's hard. At that point, you're like, yeah, I don't know if I can go somewhere else now.
I know, I just want to like get kids on campus because then it's like, okay, once you see how beautiful our campus is,
Yeah.
then you can go over into Asheville and just like see how cool of a city that is
Yeah.
too. So it's just kind of like it's a nice draw to have, and
Yeah.
that's the thing is just getting kids on campus and kind of over here.
Yeah. Okay, so what do you think your biggest challenges are right now? Like you had mentioned, you went to 13-2, and I'm looking at your schedule, and you did have you did have the wins that you had were good. You had some close games. I always say the 1-goal games are the ones that you could flip, right? Either a tie or a loss or one. What would you say your biggest challenge is right now from getting to where you want to be?
I think that it's just like continuing to bring in like true soccer junkie kids and like ones that want to come in and like really work their butt off, because I mean at Division 3 there's so much like off time, right? So I have to find those kids that actually want to put in the work outside of season, spring and fall season. And it's slowly getting there because this freshman class that came in this last year just like automatically, like took over the reins and have really pushed everybody a lot. And I think that's kind of the start and like the culture that I'm pushing. And that's hopefully, this is what my 2023 class should be like as well. So it's going to continue to get better and better. But, I mean, it is kind of hard sometimes when kids look at, our schedule and kind of results and stuff like that. But it's like, okay, well, do you want to be a part of a rebuilding program? Because that's what this is. And yeah, we're going to freaking make it eventually. You just need to come and help us do it. And so that is kind of a little bit of like a difficulty sometimes. And being like a smaller school that is a work program, so they have to work 8 hours a week. They do get paid for it off tuition, not in their pocket, but they do pay for it.
Yeah.
So like having the work program, yeah, exactly, you're getting paid. I mean, like the work program, and then you have classes, and then soccer. So some kids are like, "Oh, that sounds terrible. Like, I don't want to have all that on my plate." And then it being, of course, like agriculture, farm. There's like a very unique kind of people here, so it can be like hit or miss with soccer players coming in and seeing campus and being like, "Yeah, this is really cool. This is really pretty. I really like it," or "No chance. This is for me." And that's like, okay, that's fine. Just go and do your thing. Figure it out.
Getting to know is not a bad thing,
Yeah.
right? Getting to someone saying no, that's not a bad, because then you could just be like, hey, great, okay, next, right?
Yeah.
And like you don't have to devote that energy. Anything really surprise you about these guys, and knowing that you were an assistant for a while? Like, does anything surprise you about the program as it stands?
I don't think it was like a surprise. Like, I mean, you can just tell like these kids are like blue collar working players. I mean, yeah, they all come in and work their ass off. So it's like that didn't really surprise me because that's just kind of like how Warren Wilson is as well. It's like everyone really works hard and like it's such a community thing as we all help each other. Yeah, like I wouldn't say that's a surprise to me just because like knowing kind of Warren Wilson, but it's been really nice to see. And kind of trying to like instill in them that it's okay to kind of be like that blue collar. Like we're not going to get things handed to us. Like some other schools have a lot of money, have really nice facilities and all this crazy stuff, but like we can still be a really good program. I just need them to believe in it.
Yeah. I'm actually looking at I'm not like not paying attention. I wanted to take a look at your campus map of all things. So what is it? Is it strictly like it's not the right word, but like an environmental school? Like you're doing whether it's agriculture?
I mean, it is super big for agriculture because a majority of our acres are the farm. But
right,
the cool
it's
thing
huge.
about
like
yeah,
it's a huge campus,
it's like
1,000 acres.
Yeah, 1,100 acres. But I mean, the cool thing is like a lot of the stuff that comes from the garden is in our cafeteria, like our food in the cafeteria, and even like animals as well. Like that comes fresh from our farm.
Wow. But you have other majors, no? Or is that?
Oh yeah, like business I think is one of our top ones as well.
Yeah. Okay, so it's not. You're not going out You have to convince them still, but you're not just going out and be like, hey, who wants to be... This is terrible. People are going to be like, you're so simplistic. Well, like, hey, who wants to be a farmer? Come to Warren Wilson, right? You
Nah.
can be like, you have an option. You have options.
You can be a little bit anything you want here, so.
Yeah. All right, so tell me about your soccer stadium.
So it is, I mean, it's a beautiful grass field. It is probably one of the
Love
best.
it.
Yeah, in the area, and I freaking love it. And, I even try before games to, like, use the sprinkler system just so it's, like, got that perfect playing system. So it's just, like, we're going to be like the Premier League. Like, I'm going to make sure the surface is perfect. And so it is gorgeous. Like we don't have any sort of like stadium sort of setup. So there's just kind of like bleacher sets kind of all around the field.
Yeah.
There's a big hill that people can sit up on and kind of like watch the game and stuff like that. So it's not like anything like crazy, but we're always looking to improve, like add lights, hopefully some stadium seating. There's also been big talks about adding turf, which I'm not super excited about, but yeah, so it's kind of the push nowadays, and I think Hank is actually in for it, just to kind of help us get like a really nice state-of-the-art facility. But I would die for that grass.
That's, yeah. It's grass is unique, and more, and I get the reasoning, right? Like, I totally understand the idea of turf, but it sanitizes the game.
It does.
My little theory that I have is, I forget who I was talking to. Last interview was it Coach Bankhead down in at the Hardin Simmons, maybe. Anyhow, the big issue is that every kid now basically plays on turf, and so everyone's game is the same, and like the great factors of why a team is better than the other, could just be the type of field, and the narrow wide is all going away, and everybody, and so you have a grass field. I don't know. I think I'd pick it. Like I'd be out there, keep the grass, keep the grass. No
Yeah, me and the
justice, no
women's
peace.
soccer coach are on the same page. We'd love to keep our beautiful grass field.
I
It
get
can
it.
get
It's
very
just
expensive,
it's
but
hard
yeah.
to do, right? Like it's hard to
Yeah.
keep a field that. I'm trying to find. I guess there's no real map, but the virtual one. It does look awesome. Like just
I mean, we're
you're
like
in that
nestled
like
in the
sort of like a
mountains.
valley-ish, surrounded by the mountains. Wow.
Yeah, like when you're walking around campus, like there's just so many trees. It just feels like you're taking a stroll through the woods. Like it's just super gorgeous.
And what the soccer field? If I see, it sort of goes up onto the side of the hill. Is that where I'm?
Yeah, so it's like our gym is here, and then it kind of goes up a little hill, and then
Yeah.
our field's kind of
Okay.
up on a little hill.
I can
Yep.
kind of make it out, but I'm sorry. I get distracted by those shiny toys. Hey, what are your thoughts on the no overtimes during the regular season?
I mean, it's kind of been nice just because, like, we played 19 games and I don't have a huge roster like other teams have, like 40 some players. So it's been good for us with just ending the game and not overdoing it even more. I mean, I'm trying to think, back when I was in college doing overtime, I don't think maybe there was once or twice, like, something actually changed the outcome. And so it's, like, kind of pointless in a way, but.
Yeah.
I mean, either way, it's just less on our bodies, which has been
Yeah.
which was
You're
really
okay
cool.
with. Hey,
Yeah.
I did notice you sort of play. Not a bad thing. You do play a kind of a mix of different types of teams. You play D2.
That's
And-
like kind of the cool thing about Coast to Coast too is like I do get to pick out our schedule and like
yeah.
who we want to play. And I mean, being in our location within like a 4-hour radius, there's so many Division 3 and 2 schools that like we can play. So I can pick kind of whoever I want.
Is that something you're looking or will be at the appropriate time? Like, are you gonna? Or do you have a lot? Do you have work to do before you can start saying, "Hey, let's really look at the schedule and let's start getting some teams on here that I don't know." You go a little bit further to play, a ranked team or something like that. Is that something that's on your mind or?
Yeah, definitely like in the future. I mean, I tried for our upcoming schedule to kind of like add in a few teams that were a little bit like better in the higher of their conference just because like I want us to play those teams. Our very first game of the season in the fall is going to be a D2 team again. So just kind of starting right off the bat with that, like I don't want easy games because like even our spring schedule, I mean we only get that one day to play teams, but we played a Division II team and we played two really good NAIA teams. And the springs before it was like let's travel 45 minutes down the road and play community college, play this. I'm like, no, let's go play some good teams just so you guys can see where you're at and like you can hang with them.
Yeah, iron sharpens iron. Never going to be good if you're playing, marshmallows. It just doesn't.
I don't care if we win a game 8-0, like that did nothing.
That does nothing. Does nothing. Nothing. That's great to hear, though. Like I said, because I think that's part of the hallmark. Good teams play good schedule, right? Like they really build up a schedule that's meaningful and hate to say it, like painful. Like you're gonna have your up. It pushes you to the limits of where you are, and I think that's a really healthy, good thing for soccer players. I don't think we do it enough, quite frankly. But
because I mean, they definitely complained a little bit, like, all we're doing is defending. Sometimes, like, yeah, but you're getting better. So
yeah.
We'll see eventually.
At some point, look, I tell this story too. When I started playing soccer, I was 8 years old and living in Spain, and probably for the first 3 years, I was the goalkeeper, and probably for the first 3 years, the amount of goals I let in every game exceeded was double digits. So 10, 11, like that was just the norm.
Yeah.
We tied one game, and it was like we had won the World Cup. It was 1-1. And then the year after, we had a winning season, and then the following year we won sort of like the city of Barcelona. We won the championship.
That's awesome.
And that wouldn't have happened if we didn't get our thumped, like literally thumped every game.
Yep.
And I was the goalkeeper. So
you the rest of it.
my goals against average isn't like career isn't too great.
Don't put the huh?
Hey, what are you still in the spring, or you just finished? Didn't you your spring?
Yeah,
season?
we just ended the 15th.
Yeah.
So
what was there anything that you had planned for it? Were you doing anything in particular, or was it more just, hey, let's continue to build on how we want to play?
We really just continued to like build how I want them to play, especially in the fall. So of course they have it down, and then when the freshmen come in, I don't have to explain as much. Like the team knows exactly. So I mean, again, that was just like, okay, building out of the back, really drilling that in, and like trying to get that down, and then of course like possession based stuff, and then kind of like trying to figure out like what formation and just kind of like really nailing down some stuff, just so when they come in the fall, it'll be easier on me and easier on them because they'll already know what we're doing.
Do you have an assistant by chance?
I do, yeah. He's only part-time, so I don't see him as much, but he's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, this makes it easier, right? Just having somebody to bounce ideas off of. So what does this recruiting class, is this your recruiting class, basically? Like it's pretty 100% you recruited these players. What's it look like? And
yeah. I mean, right now, like, it's great. I have 6 deposited, so that is, set in stone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, I mean, look at my board. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 more that hopefully should, be depositing soon. I could still use more just because I had lower numbers, and I want to get the numbers back up. So it could be a really big freshman class, but that's just to kind of help build the numbers back up. So that's kind of why I'm like, hey, I'm still looking, need a few more to add to this class so we're not sitting low. Because at the end of the last season with injuries and just, life and things happening, we were down to like 18, 17, which was not ideal at all. So getting the numbers back up is kind of my goal for this fall, and then hopefully kind of be easier after that.
Yeah. Gives you more options, right? That's for sure. Okay, so $1 million question, last question of the day, and then I'll let you get on with your plans for the rest of the day. But and without giving me anything that would be used as like sort of like the locker room board, hey, look at what the coach at Warren Wilson is saying, let's go out next year and kick their butts. Like what goals do you have outlined for the fall, for this fall coming up?
Yeah, I mean, I know I can say like personally, but I know that the guys are also aligned with this. Is just like first having a winning season, just making sure like we can get there, and then that hopefully puts us into the conference, because getting into the conference tournament is, I know, on the minds of every single one of them, especially of course because it's in California, and who doesn't want to go to California.
Right.
But just really, locking in on defense and helping like lower our goals against would be something that we're also looking to kind of do. But it's just simple things like that, simple, but winning games, and really just, saying like, hey, we can compete with these teams, even though this is only our second year playing Division III, that we can do this. And so, yeah, it's just, lowering goals against, conference, winning season for sure. Shutouts would be ideal.
Is that like a really big thing for you? It wasn't the last question. Never is, but it wasn't the last one. Is that really a big? I don't want to say issue, but do you think it weighs heavy on the guys' minds about, not having a winning season, like that sort of thing? Do you think that's a big psychological issue for them?
I think for the ones that have been here for, a while, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some that like I'll only have like a few seniors next year, but they have been through this program their entire 4, now 5 because of COVID. But like, I mean, just in our spring game, like we're playing a really, really good NAIA team, and we're on defense almost the entire game. So, and he comes off at halftime. One of them is just, man, we've done this for 4 years, just defending for 4 years, and I'm tired. Like it's exhausting. And so, like I know it does weigh on them, but it's just like I know how involved and like how much they want this program to change, and like that's why they have continued to work their butts off. And I mean, I know that they can tell, and like after the season we're like, yeah, wow, like we competed with good teams, like we scored a lot more goals, we won games. And so I know it's been like frustrating for them for the past 4 years that they've been doing this, but that's why I'm just trying to point out every single positive and like look at what we've done and what we can do. Like, the fall is going to be your last season, so we're going to go out with a bang, hopefully, and everyone's all in and everybody's on the same page at, kind of what goals we want to have. So
You're right. Like progress is made, but sometimes it's not where I think players' minds are, and no player wants to lose, wants to play bad, right? They all want to play great soccer, they all want to win, and it's just a matter of how do you align all those things to make sure that you're never going to guarantee an outcome, but at least you align it so that you're in position to achieve that outcome a little bit more so than if you're not. So okay, so that's it. I promise I won't ask any more questions. I'll just make a demand. I would like for you, as soon as this interview is done, I would like for you to reach behind you, grab the American flag with the Warren Wilson, and listen, I'm a really kind guy. I don't expect you to overnight it to me. I don't, like, you can put it in the mail, like the snail mail, like it could get here in a week to 10 days. That's okay, and I will reserve a spot. No, but
I don't know.
Yeah. See, we're gonna battle over this. We're gonna battle.
Absolutely.
No, but thank you very much. This was fantastic, Coach. I wish you all the best. I'm gonna be following. This was it. Right, it's just great to hear another soccer mind. So I would, I have a full confidence in that. You're gonna be all the success at Warren Wilson. It's the ideas are there, and especially since you like to play well, that's the best. If you told me kick and run, this interview would have been done about 20 minutes ago.
I don't think I could ever be a soccer coach. I would.
You know what's funny? It's funny. The Laura knows this. Like she knows. Like I'm a stickler. I used to be a stick. Keep it on the ground. Keep it on the ground. The interesting thing is my sons. I always taught them like you pass and you play the ball on the ground. That was the biggest things with me. And it's not always a common practice in club soccer.
Yeah.
And had their difficulties. And I've apologized to them all about how I raised them to play. However, they're like, this is the only way to play. There's no other better way. And I'm like, it does a guy proud. Gets my like lip to like kind of quiver a little bit. So
Yeah.
Okay, Coach, we'll be in touch maybe in the fall, just before the season. We can connect again if the schedule permits, and we can see how things are going and see how the season can shape up. So, wish you all the best.
Thank you. Appreciate
All right,
it.
thanks. If you like this show, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. You can also find me on anti-social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thanks. This is a message from my Chief Marketing Officer. I think this keeps him happy.